You knew Al Capone.
Oh, I happen to know him,
What kind of a man?
Al Capone was a very jolly guy.
Al Capone was a jolly guy?
Jolly guy.
From The Godfather to Scarface, you probably have an idea of who mafia bosses are. But what if I told you that you do not know half of it yet? I would not be surprised if it shocked or even amazed you. So in this video, I have something very special for you. We shall unravel some of the most iconic mafia bosses' interviews and peel open the layers of their enigmatic lives. I present to you the most iconic mafia bosses' interviews. Joseph Bonano, born on January 18, 1905, in Castellammare del Golfo, Sicily, had a destiny intertwined with organized crime. He idolized Salvatore Maranzano, a powerful mafia boss known for his brutal tactics, and dreamed of becoming a godfather himself. After immigrating to the United States, Bonano quickly rose through the ranks, becoming a key player in the formation of the Commission, the ruling body of the mob. With the FBI and DEA hot on his behind, he sat down with a presenter in 1983 to talk about his life in the mafia. During the interview, Bonano denied allegations of involvement in narcotics and prostitution, despite law enforcement officials claiming otherwise. His encounters with Al Capone and Charles Lucky Luciano revealed a philosophical conflict between the three men, each with their own vision for the future of the mafia. Bonano's kidnapping in 1964 and the ensuing mob war further added to the intrigue surrounding his life. In the interview, Joseph Bonano shed light on his pivotal role as a commission member, the ruling body of the Mafia. This secretive organization held immense power and influence over the criminal underworld, shaping the course of organized crime for decades. The commission was created as a means to establish order and resolve disputes among the various Mafia families. It consisted of the most powerful and influential bosses, who came together to make decisions that affected the entire Mafia network. Bonano proudly revealed that he held a seat on the commission for over 30 years, a testament to his authority and respect within the mafia. The creation of the commission was a response to the chaos and violence that plagued the mafia in the early 20th century. It aimed to bring a sense of structure and unity to an otherwise fragmented criminal organization. Bonano explained that the commission served as a forum for discussion, negotiation, and decision-making, ensuring that conflicts were resolved peacefully and in the best interest of the mafia as a whole. As a commission member, Bonano had a hand in shaping the direction of the mafia. He played a crucial role in establishing rules and codes of conduct that governed the behavior of mobsters. Bonano emphasized the importance of loyalty, respect, and honor within the mafia, values that he believed were essential for the survival and success of the organization. The commission's power extended beyond the boundaries of individual families. It had the authority to approve or veto major decisions, such as the initiation of new members, the expansion of criminal activities, and even the resolution of conflicts between families. Bonano's involvement in the commission allowed him to exert influence and control over the mafia's operations on a grand scale. However, the commission was not without its challenges. Bonano acknowledged that conflicts and power struggles were inevitable within such a powerful organization. Rivalries and disagreements often arose, leading to tensions and occasional violence. Bonano himself had to navigate through these treacherous waters, balancing his loyalty to the commission with his own ambitions and alliances. Despite the inherent risks, Bonano believed that the commission played a vital role in maintaining the stability and longevity of the mafia. It provided a platform for communication and cooperation among the families, ensuring that disputes were resolved without resorting to all-out war. Bonano's involvement in the commission showcased his leadership skills and his ability to navigate the complex dynamics of the criminal underworld. The commission's influence reached its peak during the mid-20th century, when the mafia's power and reach were at their height. However, as law enforcement agencies intensified their efforts to dismantle organized crime, the commission's power began to wane. Bonano witnessed the gradual decline of the commission and the changing landscape of the mafia as new challenges and threats emerged. Joseph Bonano's role as a commission member was a testament to his stature and influence within the mafia. His involvement in the creation and functioning of the commission showcased his strategic thinking and his commitment to maintaining order and unity within the criminal underworld. In his iconic interview, Joseph Bonano revealed fascinating details about his encounters with two legendary figures in the world of organized crime, Al Capone and Charles Lucky Luciano. These encounters not only shaped Bonano's own path, but also highlighted the philosophical conflict that existed between these three titans of the underworld. Bonano believed in the traditional values of the Mafia, emphasizing loyalty, respect, and honor. He saw the Mafia as a tightly knit brotherhood, bound by a code of conduct that had been passed down through generations. Luciano, on the other hand, aimed to streamline the operations of the Mafia, treating it as a business and focusing on efficiency and profitability. The clash between Bonano's traditional values and Luciano's progressive mindset created tension and divisions within the Mafia. Bonano found himself torn between loyalty to the old ways and the desire for progress. This philosophical conflict would shape the future of the Mafia and set the stage for a new era of organized crime. Despite their differences, Bonano acknowledged the influence and power wielded by both Capone and Luciano. He respected their abilities and recognized the impact they had on the criminal underworld. These encounters with two of the most iconic figures in Mafia history left an indelible mark on Bonano, shaping his approach to leadership and understanding of the complexities of the criminal world. The clash of titans between Bonano, Capone, and Luciano represented a turning point in the history of organized crime. It showcased the diversity of perspectives within the Mafia and the challenges faced by those seeking to maintain the balance between tradition and progress. Bonano's encounters with Capone and Luciano highlighted the ever-evolving nature of the criminal underworld and the constant struggle for power and dominance. Next, we are going to take you to an exclusive interview with none other than John Gotti Jr., the son of the notorious mobster John Gotti Sr. Gotti Jr. sits down with 60 Minutes to share his side of the story, shedding light on his family's involvement in the Mafia and his own journey through the ranks.
My father was my cause. If my father wasn't in that life, I probably wouldn't have been in the street life either. Whatever he was is what I wanted to be. And if he decided the next day, you know what, I don't like this anymore, I'm going to be a butcher, I would tell him, I hope you have a smock for me.
From growing up in a working-class Italian neighborhood in New York City to becoming a made man, Gotti Jr. takes us on a thrilling journey filled with violence, loyalty, and the constant battle between family and the desire for a different life. This interview was conducted in 2010 by 60 Minutes Presents, an American television. Hosted by Steve Croft, he explored the dark and intriguing world of Mafia life under the eyes of John Gotti. From a young age, Gotti Jr. learned about his father's criminal activities. At the age of 14, he watched a news program that revealed the true extent of his father's power and influence. Instead of being repulsed by the revelations, Gotti Jr. felt a sense of pride and admiration for his father's status in the mob. John Gotti Sr., the head of the infamous Gambino crime family, was a force to be reckoned with. Known for his violent temper and sadistic streak, Gotti Sr. ruled the streets with an iron fist. His reputation as a ruthless mob boss struck fear into the hearts of his enemies and even his own associates. Gotti Jr. witnessed his father's behavior firsthand. He saw the fear and respect that people had for Gotti Sr., and he experienced his father's violent outbursts himself. But instead of being repelled by the violence, Gotti Jr. found himself drawn to the power and authority that his father commanded. In the close-knit Italian community, being involved in the mob was seen as a badge of honor. Gotti Jr. was surrounded by fellow mobsters who praised his father's accomplishments and revered the mob culture. It became clear to Gotti Jr. that this was the world he belonged to, a world where loyalty and respect were valued above all else. As Gotti Jr. grew older, he followed in his father's footsteps and became a made man himself. He embraced the gangster code, justifying the murders and criminal activities as necessary for survival on the streets. Breaking the rules of the mob was not an option for Gotti Jr., as he believed it would only lead to death or imprisonment. Despite the violence and criminality that surrounded him, Gotti Jr. felt a sense of comfort in this world. It was all he knew, and he believed that it was the only way to navigate the treacherous streets of New York City. The mob became his family, and he was willing to do whatever it took to protect and uphold its traditions. Gotti Jr.'s rise in the ranks of the Gambino family was inevitable. After his father went to prison, he became the acting boss, but he denies being the head of the family. He claims that his father sheltered him from certain conversations to protect him, and any business dealings were conducted through intermediaries. Gotti Jr. faced intense criticism and ridicule from the media, who painted him as a ruthless criminal, but he remained unfazed by the negative attention, standing firm in his loyalty to the mob and his admiration for his father. However, as Gotti Jr. started a family of his own, he began to question his involvement in the mob. The constant threat of treachery and the possibility of being killed weighed heavily on his mind. He realized that he wanted a different life for his children, one free from the dangers and constraints of the mob. And so, after much contemplation, Gotti Jr. made the difficult choice to leave the family business and quit the mob. It was a decision that would change the course of his life forever. As Gotti Jr. walked away from the only life he had ever known, he embarked on a journey to redefine himself and create a new legacy for his family. But the road ahead would not be easy, as the consequences of his past actions would continue to haunt him.
Today, Gotti is a free man and back living in his family's 2-acre compound with a swimming pool and stables.
It's a very nice piece of property.
Thank you.
Next, the story of Michael Franzese, which is a gripping story. It is a story of a former mobster turned author and speaker. Here, we will explore the details of his most iconic interview on Vlad TV, where he opens up about his involvement in the Mafia, his encounters with the American government, and the shocking revelations that have captivated audiences worldwide. From his new book, Mafia Democracy, to his thoughts on witness tampering and the decline of the Italian Mafia, this interview is filled with sensational facts that will leave you on the edge of your seat. In the gritty streets of Brooklyn, New York, a young boy named Michael Franzese was destined for a life that would shock the world. Born on May 27, 1951, Michael grew up in a close-knit Italian-American family, surrounded by the allure of organized crime. As the son of John Sonny Franzese, a notorious underboss in the Colombo crime family, Michael's path seemed predestined. From an early age, Michael witnessed the power and influence his father held within the Mafia. The family's lavish lifestyle, expensive cars, and connections to high-ranking mobsters were all part of his everyday reality. But little did he know that he would soon be drawn into this dangerous world himself. As Michael entered his teenage years, he found himself increasingly enticed by the allure of the Mafia. The power, respect, and wealth that came with this lifestyle seemed irresistible to a young man searching for his place in the world. It wasn't long before Michael made his first steps into the world of organized crime. At the age of 24, he officially became a made member of the Colombo crime family, taking his oath of loyalty and secrecy. With his initiation into the Mafia, Michael's life took a dramatic turn. He quickly rose through the ranks, displaying a natural talent for business and a ruthless determination that caught the attention of his superiors. One of the most significant milestones in Michael's early Mafia career was his involvement in the gasoline bootlegging scheme. In the 1970s, when the gasoline shortage hit the nation, Michael saw an opportunity to capitalize on the situation. Through his connections, Michael orchestrated a massive operation that involved hijacking fuel trucks, tampering with gas pumps, and distributing the stolen gasoline to various gas stations. This illegal enterprise brought in millions of dollars and solidified Michael's reputation as a rising star within the Colombo crime family. According to him, the gasoline bootlegging scheme was a game changer. It allowed him to prove his worth and gain the trust of his superiors. As Michael's influence grew, so did his involvement in various criminal activities. He became known for his expertise in white-collar crimes, including racketeering, extortion, and money laundering. His ability to navigate the complex world of business and finance made him a valuable asset to the Mafia, but it wasn't just his criminal activities that set Michael apart. He also had a charismatic personality that drew people to him. This charm, combined with his intelligence and street smarts, made him a force to be reckoned with. However, as Michael's power and wealth grew, so did the attention from law enforcement. The authorities were determined to bring down the Colombo crime family, and Michael found himself in the crosshairs of their investigations. Despite the mounting pressure, Michael continued to thrive within the Mafia, earning the respect and trust of his fellow mobsters. But little did he know that his life was about to take a dramatic turn that would challenge everything he believed in. He was eventually arrested and spent his time in jail. Back from jail, he had this interview on Vlad TV with Michael delving into various topics that had long been shrouded in mystery. One of the first revelations he made was about his involvement in fixing fights, a practice that was shockingly common in professional sports. He also talked about his relationship with Rudy Giuliani, stating that while they have had their differences and he respects what he has accomplished, he was also there to discuss his book, The Mafia Democracy, which talks about the corruption of the American government and the idea of lobbying. Al Capone, the notorious gangster of the 1920s, was known for his extravagant lifestyle and his audacious claims about his income and financial records. With the IRS looking for a reason to lock him up, he arranged an interview with a revenue agent to come clean about his financial situation. In his interview with the revenue agent, Capone confidently stated that he never kept any records of his income and had no checking accounts. He even went as far as to downplay his earnings, asserting that he never had much of an income that would be taxable. However, his tax lawyer, Lawrence Mattingly, interjected, revealing a crucial piece of information. Mattingly explained that prior to 1926, Capone was merely an employee of another gangster, John Torrio. It was only after Capone took over Torrio's operations that his income started to increase significantly. This revelation hinted at the vast sums of money Capone was making from his illegal activities. The interview with Capone had just begun, and already his claims were being challenged. As the interview with Al Capone continued, the revenue agent pressed him on whether he had ever filed income tax returns. Capone confidently replied with a resounding resounding no. This bold denial raised eyebrows and further fueled the suspicion surrounding his financial activities. The agent then turned his attention to Capone's marital status during the years under question. When asked if he was married, Capone responded with a firm certainty. The agent inquired about any children, to which Capone admitted to having one, a 12-year-old. These revelations shed light on Capone's personal life and added another layer of complexity to the investigation. The government was keen to uncover any financial transactions or assets that Capone might have concealed through his marriage or family members. The interview with Capone was becoming increasingly intense as the revenue agent dug deeper into his financial affairs. The truth behind Capone's claims and the extent of his involvement in illegal activities were slowly being unraveled. As the interview with Al Capone drew to a close, it became evident that the government had been meticulously building a case against the notorious gangster. Capone's denial of filing income tax returns, his claims about his income and financial records, and his attempts to shield his wealth through real estate transactions were all pieces of a puzzle that would ultimately lead to his downfall. The interview with the revenue agent was just the beginning of the end for Capone. The evidence gathered during this encounter, combined with the extensive investigation conducted by the IRS, would pave the way for one of the most sensational trials in American history. He did have this to say about his business, though.
I came to Chicago with $40 in my pocket. My son is now 12. I'm still married and I love my wife dearly. We had to make a living. I was younger than I am now and thought I needed more. I didn't believe in prohibiting people from getting the things they wanted.
Sammy Gravano.
I've got 22 years in prisons. I bumped into a lot of guys. And I bumped into people and I said, listen, you were in a regular prison, now you're in a witness unit. Tell me the truth. What were they saying about me? You were with this guy and this guy and this guy.
After 2 decades of silence, Gravano breaks his silence and sits down with Patrick Bet-David to discuss his life in the Mafia and his involvement in racketeering. Growing up in Brooklyn in the 1950s, Gravano witnessed the power and influence of the Mafia firsthand. It was a world where loyalty and respect were valued above all else, and where the allure of money and power was impossible to resist. And so, Gravano took his first steps into the Mafia, becoming a low-level associate in his late teens. It was a dangerous path, but one that promised riches and a sense of belonging that he had always craved. As Gravano immersed himself in the Mafia lifestyle, he quickly proved his worth. His intelligence, street smarts, and unwavering loyalty caught the attention of the higher-ups, including the notorious John Gotti. Gotti, the charismatic and ruthless boss of the Gambino crime family, saw potential in Gravano. He took him under his wing, mentoring him and guiding him through the treacherous world of organized crime. Gravano said, "Gotti saw something in me. He saw that I was willing to do whatever it took to climb the ranks. He became my mentor, my guide. I owe a lot to him." With Gotti's guidance, Gravano quickly rose through the ranks of the Gambino crime family, becoming an influential figure within the organization. But with power came a dark side, as Gravano found himself involved in violent acts and criminal activities that would haunt him for the rest of his life. Gravano's involvement in racketeering, extortion, and other illicit activities became the norm. He became a key player in the Mafia's operations, using his intelligence and cunning to further the family's interests. As Gravano's power and influence grew, so did the risks. The Mafia life was a constant game of survival, where one wrong move could mean the end. But for Gravano, the rewards outweighed the dangers, and he continued to climb the ladder of the criminal underworld. Gravano and Gotti were an unstoppable duo, a force to be reckoned with in the criminal underworld. Their bond was built on trust, respect, and a shared vision for the Gambino crime family. But as the saying goes, absolute power corrupts absolutely. As Gotti's power and influence grew, so did his ego. He became more reckless, drawing unwanted attention from law enforcement. Gravano, ever the loyal soldier, tried to rein him in, but it was a losing battle. The turning point came when Gotti ordered the murder of Paul Castellano, the boss of the Gambino crime family at the time. Gravano, torn between his loyalty to Gotti and his own moral compass, reluctantly went along with the plan. The murder of Castellano catapulted Gotti into the position of boss, but it also drew the attention of the FBI. The walls were closing in, and Gravano knew that the Mafia's days were numbered. Faced with the prospect of spending the rest of his life behind bars, Gravano made a decision that would forever change the course of his life. He chose to cooperate with the government, becoming a witness against his former associates. Gravano's decision to become a government witness sent shockwaves through the Mafia. The once loyal soldier had turned against his own, exposing the inner workings of the Gambino crime family and bringing down some of the most powerful figures in organized crime. The fallout from Gravano's cooperation was immense. The Mafia was left reeling, and Gotti, the man he had once considered a brother, turned on him. Gravano's life was forever changed as he entered the witness protection program and started a new chapter under a new identity. Joseph Massino.
The reputed mafia boss in New York City was arrested today. Joseph Massino allegedly runs the Bonano crime family. He was indicted on federal charges of murder, conspiracy, and other crimes over 2 decades. Prosecutors said Massino was the last official boss of New York's 5 mafia families who wasn't already in jail.
Joseph Massino, born and raised in Queens, New York, was no stranger to the streets that would later become his empire. Growing up in the tough neighborhoods of the city, Massino quickly learned the rules of survival and the power of loyalty. It was these very qualities that would propel him to the top of the Bonano crime family, one of the most feared and powerful criminal organizations in the country. As a young man, Massino was drawn to the allure of mob life. He saw the power, the money, and the respect that came with being a part of something bigger than himself. And so, he made his way into the ranks of the Bonano family, starting from the bottom and working his way up through sheer determination and cunning. In the 1970s, the Bonano family was embroiled in a bloody power struggle, with various factions vying for control. Amidst the chaos, Massino saw an opportunity to make his mark. He aligned himself with the rising faction led by Carmine Galante, a ruthless and ambitious mobster known for his iron-fisted rule. Under Galante's guidance, Massino quickly rose through the ranks, earning a reputation for his loyalty and his ability to get things done. He became a trusted confidant and enforcer, carrying out orders without question and solidifying his position within the family. As the years went by, the Bonano family flourished under Massino's leadership. He expanded their criminal enterprises, from illegal gambling and loan sharking to drug trafficking and extortion. The family's influence spread like wildfire, reaching into every corner of New York City and beyond. But with power comes enemies, and Massino was not immune to the dangers that came with his position. Rival families sought to undermine his authority, and law enforcement agencies were constantly on his trail. Yet Massino remained one step ahead, always ready to protect his empire at any cost. However, the walls were closing in on Massino. In 2004, after decades of evading justice, he was finally arrested and charged with multiple crimes, including murder, racketeering, and conspiracy. It was a devastating blow to the Bonano family, but Massino's reign of terror was far from over. And so, we find ourselves in the courtroom where Massino, now a turncoat, is facing the grand jury. The stage is set for a dramatic confrontation as the jury seeks to uncover the truth behind the murder of Gerlando Sciascia, one of Massino's closest associates. Gerlando Sciascia, a trusted associate of Massino, had been a loyal member of the Bonano family for years, but as the power dynamics within the organization shifted, tensions began to rise. Sciascia, known for his independent streak, had started to challenge Massino's authority, a move that would prove to be fatal. Massino, a man who demanded unwavering loyalty, saw Sciascia's actions as a direct threat to his power and the stability of the family. He knew that he had to take drastic measures to maintain control, even if it meant resorting to the ultimate act of betrayal. In the weeks leading up to the murder, Massino meticulously planned every detail. He enlisted the help of trusted members within the organization, ensuring that his actions would remain hidden from prying eyes. The stage was set for a brutal and calculated act of violence. It was a dark and fateful night when Massino and his accomplices cornered Sciascia. The tension in the air was palpable as they confronted him, their faces masked by shadows. Sciascia, unaware of the impending danger, stood face to face with his former friend and boss. And then, in a chilling moment that would forever haunt those involved, Massino made his move, ending Sciascia's life in an instant. With cold precision, he pulled the trigger through the night, forever changing the course of their intertwined destinies. The aftermath of the murder sent shockwaves through the criminal underworld. Massino, now stained with the blood of his once loyal associate, had solidified his position as a ruthless and feared leader. The message was clear: anyone who dared to challenge his authority would meet a similar fate. As law enforcement agencies scrambled to piece together the puzzle, Massino remained one step ahead. He skillfully manipulated the situation, planting seeds of doubt and misdirection to protect himself and the family he had built. The walls were closing in, but Massino's cunning and ruthlessness would prove to be formidable adversaries. John Elite, also known as Johnny Aletto. Born and raised in the crime-ridden streets of Queens, New York, John Elite's journey is one that is filled with violence, crime, and redemption. From a young age, he was exposed to the harsh realities of his neighborhood, where drugs and danger lurked around every corner. Influenced by his father, who had connections to gangsters, John Elite embraced a life of crime and violence, becoming a feared figure in the criminal underworld. But it was through his own experiences and the mental and emotional toll it took on him that he realized the futility of violence. Now, he works tirelessly with therapists and veterans to cope with his past and help others avoid the same destructive path. In the heart of Queens, New York, lies a neighborhood known for its crime and drug activity. It's a place where violence is a way of life and survival is a daily struggle. This is the backdrop against which the story of John Elite unfolds. John Elite was born into this world, growing up in a family that knew the harsh realities of their surroundings all too well. His father, a tough and street-smart man, taught him from a young age to be tough and to protect himself at all costs. And so, John Elite learned to navigate the treacherous streets of Queens, always on guard and ready to defend himself. But as he entered his teenage years, he found himself drawn into a world that would forever change his life. It was during this time that John Elite became involved in selling drugs. He found himself associating with dangerous individuals who saw the potential in him. They took him under their wing, showing him the ropes of the trade and introducing him to a life of crime. As John Elite delved deeper into the drug trade, he quickly made a name for himself. His reputation as a fearless and ruthless individual grew, and he became someone not to be messed with. Elite's involvement in the drug trade brought him both power and money, but it also exposed him to a world of violence and crime that few could comprehend. Shootings, stabbings, and brutal beatings became a part of John Elite's everyday life. He engaged in acts of violence without hesitation, cementing his reputation as a feared figure in the criminal underworld. He said, "I did things I'm not proud of. I hurt people, and I took lives. It was a dark and twisted path that I had chosen." But the consequences of his actions were not just physical. John Elite experienced the mental and emotional effects of his violent lifestyle. The weight of his past began to take its toll. The nightmares, the guilt, the constant fear, they all became a part of John Elite's existence. He was trapped in a cycle of violence, unable to escape the demons that haunted him. And so, John Elite began his journey towards redemption. He sought help from therapists and veterans who understood the struggles he faced. Through therapy and self-reflection, he started to confront his past and find a way to heal. Today, John Elite has dedicated himself to saving lives and preventing others from falling into the same destructive path he once walked. He has learned that violence does not solve anything and has chosen a different path. Determined to break free from the cycle of violence, John Elite turned to therapists and veterans who understood the struggles he faced. Through their guidance and support, he began his journey towards healing and redemption. With the help of therapists, John Elite started to unpack the trauma he had experienced. He confronted the memories that haunted him, working through the guilt and pain that had consumed him for so long. Group therapy sessions became a safe space for John Elite to share his story and connect with others who had walked similar paths. It was here that he found solace and understanding, knowing that he was not alone in his struggles. But therapy was just one piece of the puzzle. John Elite also sought guidance from veterans who had experienced the horrors of war and understood the toll it could take on one's mental health. Through their shared experiences, John Elite found a sense of camaraderie and support. The veterans became mentors, teaching him coping mechanisms and helping him navigate the challenges of his journey. As John Elite continued his therapy and worked with veterans, he began to see the light at the end of the tunnel. He started to rebuild his life, finding new purpose and meaning. Meditation became a daily practice for John Elite, allowing him to find inner peace and clarity. Exercise became a way to release pent-up energy and positively channel his emotions. And volunteering became a way for him to give back to his community, to make amends for the harm he had once caused.
With meditation, working out, therapy, dealing with PTSD is difficult, but I deal with it by talking to other people that deal with it.
This brings us to the end of this video. We hope that you liked it. To see more videos like this, click on the cards on your screen.